It's hell on earth for Palestinians in Gaza, in the north. UNRWA's top official, Philippe Lazzarini, said people were just waiting to die. On the platform X, Lazzarini said Palestinians there felt deserted, hopeless and alone, as he urged an immediate truce, even for just a few hours, to enable safe humanitarian passage for families who wish to leave the area and reach safer places.
In North Gaza Governate are experiencing extreme suffering as this Israeli siege there continues. OCHA says there are harrowing levels of death, injury and destruction in the north. Civilians are trapped under rubble. The sick and wounded are going without life-saving health care. Families lack food. Their homes have been destroyed. They have no shelter, and nowhere is safe. International humanitarian law demands that civilians have the essentials they need to survive. That's food, shelter, medical care, and other critical assistance.
Officials say multiple dozens of people have been killed by Israeli forces in recent days, with reports of bodies left by the roadside or under rubble, inaccessible to rescue teams due to ongoing military operations and airstrikes. The Israeli military, which this month launched an offensive against Hamas members who had reportedly regrouped in the northern town of Jabalia, has issued evacuation orders, evacuating people along designated routes. Most hospitals in the north are no longer operational. The UN says attempts to get fuel into North Gaza have been denied, affecting water stations that cannot operate without fuel.
The suspension of service is affecting large areas, including the neighborhoods of Al-Daraj, Al-Tufa, Al-Zarga, and Sheikh Ridwan. A request earlier this week to deliver 23,000 liters of fuel to North Gaza Governate was denied by Israeli authorities. From the 6th of October through yesterday, several attempts to get fuel to Gaza Governate were also denied. Another mission was impeded and therefore unable to be accomplished.
Antonio Guterres, also on X, said he was very concerned about the postponement of the latest phase of the polio vaccination campaign, warning that the polio outbreak had to be stopped, a view echoed by his deputy spokesperson.
Conditions, including ongoing attacks on civilian infrastructure, continue to jeopardize people's safety and movement in northern Gaza, making it impossible for families to safely bring their children for vaccination and for health workers to operate. It's imperative to stop the polio outbreak in Gaza before more children are paralyzed and the virus spreads. To interrupt transmission, at least 90% of all children in every community and neighborhood must be vaccinated. The vaccination campaign must be facilitated in the north through the implementation of humanitarian pauses. Our humanitarian partners say that all logistics, supplies, and trained personnel were prepared to vaccinate children across the north with their second dose of the polio vaccine. However, given that the area currently approved for temporary humanitarian pauses was substantially reduced in geographic size from the previous round of the vaccination campaign and is now limited only to Gaza City, many children in northern Gaza would have missed out on a second dose.
The World Food Programme also highlighting that September and October to date saw some of the lowest levels of humanitarian aid entering Gaza since 2023, as the US Secretary of State is again in the region to push for an elusive ceasefire.
Israel has achieved most of its strategic objectives when it comes to Gaza, all with the idea of making sure that October 7th could never happen again. In the space of a year, it's managed to dismantle Hamas's military capacity. It's destroyed much of its arsenal. It's eliminated its senior leadership, including, most recently, Yahya Sinwar. This has come at the cost, great cost, to Palestinian civilians in Gaza. Now is the time to turn those successes into an enduring strategic success. And there are really two things left to do. Get the hostages home and bring the war to an end with an understanding of what will follow. And that's what we've been working on this past day, and will continue to work on throughout this trip.
As diplomacy fails to deliver on its promise to end the war, which has no end in sight, hostages, their condition unknown, held for 382 days and counting, and a Palestinian people in Gaza, ravaged and reduced by the brazen inhumanity of this war. Chauvin Briceby's SABC News, New York.